live now? All right, good evening, viewers. Welcome to Big Smith News Watch. We're coming to you from Arapaima Lodge, or we're coming to you from Duke Lodge in Kingston. And we're speaking with Rudy Rampersad. Rudy is from Trinidad, and there was a marriage earlier this evening, but he'll explain a bit more of that marriage. But it falls into the whole local content initiative and all these things that is happening with oil and gas and the energy and everything else that we're doing with respect to developing our oil and gas economy. Rampersad, welcome to Big Smith News Watch. Welcome to Guyana. He's no stranger because he's been here a while, but tell us what happened today.
So, I've been coming to Guyana for the last 10 years, right? And every time I've come, I fell more and more in love with the country, with both the people and the culture, right? And over the last few years, we have developed a very good business in Guyana. Guyana is one of our international offices. We have 8 international offices across the world right now. But today, we were lucky enough to be able to do a joint venture with GK Logistics, affiliate of Arapaima Areas. Although Rams Guyana is already 51% divested, for us it's more important than not just the local content, but partnering. And an example of that is over the last 3 weeks, we've been working on a project. We've just acquired 10,000 dry coconuts that are currently being packed in the Pomeroon that are going to be exported to the United States. And through our partnership with GK, they were able to connect us with the right suppliers in the Pomeroon. They were able to help us through getting things through the GMC, the local agricultural office, and arranging the local logistics here for us. And we're going to now take that a step further, take it from Guyana and export it into the United States, which will be delivered in just about 2 weeks, right? And the idea around partnership is just that. If we had to do this on our own, it would have took us 3 or 4 years to build that relationship that's there.
Yeah.
But working together, we are able to bridge that gap and really grow together in an exponential rate that gives all of us a better opportunity to understand what is coming in a few years that is here in Guyana.
But the events that led to this partnership tonight, based on the speeches that we heard earlier this evening, it's not something that started yesterday or last week. So tell us about this friendship that would have birthed this marriage and this arrangement.
So the first time I came to Guyana, it took a while for me to get a lay of the land. And one of the very friendly faces I met was Jerry. And we became friends very quickly. Young guys just out and about trying to grow the family companies, right? Business. And we started to talk, and over a few years after that, we were having some challenges getting cargo in and cargo out. And Jerry's like, listen, we're around my areas, I can help you guys through that, And very quickly, he was able to help us through getting charters available to us that we were able to move those cargoes. And for the last 3 years, they have been doing probably 3-4 charters a week for us out of Guyana. And from that, this marriage came about to what it is. And now, going into the future, we'll be able to offer more services, right? The Arapaima Group has lodging, transportation services, and they have a big catering division. And the idea is that how we can partner together to put those services out into the international market, and also to help what we have in the oil and gas growing community right now.
All right, thank you very much, Rudy. We'll now speak with Jerry. We'll bring on Jerry in a couple of minutes, and Jerry will tell us about his involvement in Arapaima, the Arapaima Logistics Inc., which is a collaboration or the marriage of 2 major Caribbean companies. So we'll be back with you very shortly.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
right, so welcome back to Big Smith News Watch. Welcome back to the launch of Arapaima Logistics Inc. We're now going to speak with Jerry Gavaya Jr. Before him, you heard from Rudy Rampersad. Now, just to remind you that what we're doing here, or what happened here earlier this evening, is that two major Caribbean brands would have merged, or married as we call them, as we refer to it as. And it's not a marriage that just took place because of a shack-up. These guys have been friends for some time now, and then it led to this whole business initiative. So, Mr. Gavaya, welcome to your launch.
Hey, thank you.
All right, so tell us, what does this mean for Roraima? What does it mean for Arapaima? What does this mean for the country and the Caribbean?
Absolutely. So the main thing is that we're very excited for this launch because, as you rightfully said, it is a joining of two Caribbean brands, right? And not only brands of a company, but brands of families, right? In Guyana, the Gavaya family has been around for 30 years doing logistics, and the Rampersad family has been around in Trinidad for 30 years doing logistics in Trinidad. So really and truly what this is not only widening and deepening the logistics services here in Guyana, but it's also allowing us to enter the Caribbean market, the regional market, and then eventually into the US, UK, and Canadian markets. So what we basically have here is that Roraima, the group of companies Roraima, and then it's represented here by GK Logistics, which is a company formed by myself and my brother. We are the primary partners for this Arapaima launch that you're seeing here today. And really, we're going to be moving this forward using the certifications, the qualifications, and experience that the Ramps group of company has, the Roraima and GK group of company has, and then we're going to be taking it to the international level.
Mr. Gavaya, what does this mean, or how much weight does this add to this local content conversation that we've been having in this country?
That's an excellent point. So the whole point of it is that, I have been in every consultation for this local content legislation. We have sat for hours going through what's feasible, what's not feasible, what's realistic, what can we as Guyana do. We've reached out to our private sector, we've tallied what can we do in what capacity. And you know what? The local content legislation that was issued by the PPP government led by President Ali has been nothing but par excellence. It is the world standard for what we are looking for here in Guyana. It is realistic to allow for local engagement, for us to be the primary beneficiary for our local resource, as well as allowing for international direct investment, and that's what you're seeing here today. So you have an international company like Ramps Logistics that's bringing the investment to Guyana, and you have a local company like us that's very well established over the last 30 years, and a family that, and especially me, I've grown up in logistics. So, I'm 35 now, so for 30 of those years, I was in logistics. And what we're able to do now is create that under the local content legislation, where it's going to be 51% Guyanese owned, 75% of the management staff is definitely going to be Guyanese. In fact, it's a lot more than that. And definitely 90% of the workforce, which is a lot more than that, is going to be Guyanese owned. So this is a real example of the local content legislation signed in December. And here we are in February getting ready to sign our own JV here.
This joint venture, by the way, they signed it already, just before we got on camera, but this is coming on the heels of a significant conference, an energy conference, the inaugural energy conference and expo held right here in Guyana, Georgetown, Guyana, over the last few days. Speak on that and its connection to what we witnessed here earlier this evening.
Absolutely. So what we saw with the energy conference was a very heavy participation from foreign companies. They're very interested in Guyana. You know what? I was lucky enough to be at conferences like OTC in Houston. I was in Dubai. I was in Newfoundland. And everybody is talking Guyana. So here we are at the local energy conference that we have hosted here at the Marriott for the last week. And I can tell you the level of engagement from the foreign companies have been nothing but staggering, right? All over the world you're hearing about Guyana, and here we are in Guyana and they're all coming to us. Right, and what I can say is that the local companies, whilst it was a little difficult for some of them to get into the energy conference, you know what? It was the first kick. I'm sure that the next time we're going to make it a lot more accessible. But for the local companies that actually got to participate in the local energy conference, I got to say that they were overwhelmed. I was walking through those booths and it was filled with people, right? The amount of engagement that they got, I'm sure they got a good value for their money. And then not not only that, but the conference of itself, we had speakers, the President Irfan Ali, Prime Minister Mia Mottley, President Santoki. These guys are talking and they're bringing the region together and they're speaking at this conference to show how can we collaborate. And that's exactly what we're looking for with Arapaima Logistics. It is that it's not only Guyana, it's also about the region. Because as you can see around the room, we have the Trinidadian flag, the Guyana flag, the Suriname flag, which means that Arapaima is extending into all of these regions, and we're actually going to be extending further into Mexico, Barbados, Colombia, and so on. So it's really about a regional and international brand.
If you've just joined us, we're speaking with Captain Jerry Gavaya Jr. and we're at the Arapaima Logistics Inc. launch, which is taking place at Duke Lodge in Kingston, Georgetown. We're going to be back with you very shortly. We're going to take give you a short tour of what's going on around or what took place earlier this evening, and then we'll come back again with you. All right, so we're back with you at the Arapaima Logistics launch, and we're going to speak with the president of the America-Guyana Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Curtin. Mr. Curtin will speak on this initiative or this birth of two companies this evening, this marriage of two companies. Welcome to Big Smith News Watch, Mr. Curtin.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Curtin, what does this collaboration mean for both Guyana, Trinidad, and for the Caribbean?
I think it's an important initiative because our unity in CARICOM depends on a strong private sector. And in the Caribbean, if we are going to expand our markets further afield, we've got to be able to do that in a way that is structured and to do it in a way where there's economies of scale, so we can do it as 14 countries rather than as one. Because as you would know, access to markets can face all kinds of barriers, like external markets external to CARICOM. And if we can deal with the removal of those barriers as a collective of nearly 12 million people rather than of 850,000, it makes sense. I think even more importantly, what you see here today is two young people, or two sets of young people who grew up in their parents' business, right? Taking a decision to not move away from their parents' business, but based on their vision for the future and so on, coming up with something that they think is necessary and, you know, working out the modalities as this MOU that they've signed will provide for, where they can work out how best they can collaborate in keeping with the local content policy, local content laws, and ultimately to ensure that not only the two companies, but the two countries, and by that, further than that, the CARICOM region, you know, benefits. And I think that, you know, there's enough room at the table, I think, for local companies. I mean, I know with the single market in the economy. There's still some challenges to be overcome. There's still some countries that have some barriers. I mean, you know, one can talk about honey, in the case of Trinidad and Tobago, you know, but I think those problems can be overcome. And I don't think we should allow, you know, a problem here or a problem there to overshadow the greater good that is experienced with the other positive things that are happening among, between and among countries in CARICOM.
And if you did the little melodies that you're hearing in the background, that's the performance by our local musical artist, Jackie Jacks. Mr. Curtin, what does this arrangement, what does this collaboration, how does it benefit or add value to any discussion about local content?
Well, I think it's a demonstration that companies can work together, can create strategies and implement those strategies to ensure effective and efficient services are provided to those that need those services. Now, my understanding is that this initiative would not only be focused on the oil and gas sector, but will focus on efforts to move things like farmers' produce and other products into Trinidad and into other markets. And I think that's a commendable thing if they can get it right. Because a big problem with intra-regional trade within CARICOM is the cost of transportation. You know, it is cheaper to export stuff to the United States because of volumes and so on than to do it within CARICOM, where sometimes the volumes that are required are not that large and the shipping costs are not competitive. So when you have a logistics company that is willing to sit and come up, examine how you can come up with an arrangement and with a service that would provide for cost-effective and cost-efficient logistics and movements of products, you know, particularly for Guyana. Things like agricultural produce and products, processed foods, and so on, into new markets or expanded markets in the Caribbean. I think it's a commendable initiative.
We were speaking with Mr. Curtin. We are coming to you from the Arapaima Logistics Inc. launching here at Duke Lodge in Kingston, Georgetown. We're going to be back with you very shortly to wrap up this live conversation that we're having from this event this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Curtin. This has brought us to the end of this very short live broadcast coming to you from Duke Lodge in Georgetown, Kingston, Georgetown. It is the launch of the Arapaima Logistics Inc. It is the merger of two companies here in Guyana and Trinidad. Do join us here again next week when we bring you some more interesting content and activities that are happening across this country. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.